Hi, Brandi. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I am wonderful, thank you. So let's just get straight into it. First of all, congratulations on 1 year of Dynamite. How does it feel to have kind of made it this far?
It's pretty surreal, actually. It does not seem to me like an entire year has gone by. However, we have been through quite a lot in this short period of time.
Mm,
I was just thinking about it the other day, from walking red carpets and announcing this event to the world, to here we are today and we're celebrating 1 year.
mm,
It's definitely been a whirlwind ride, and the world looks different now than it did when we started.
yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to take a look back and see where we've come from and where we are today, still having all of this momentum, but just at a different period in time.
When you look back at the whole year, how proud are you of not just yourself, but of Cody, of Tony, of everyone in charge and the entire roster?
Oh, I'm immensely proud of everyone. This is something that I knew we could do once we got rolling. I definitely knew that we had the ability to create this amazing television show, to service this great audience. And we've just been plugging at it week after week, and we've taken it, one thing at a time, and not, gotten ahead of ourselves or anything. But it's been a really interesting process.
Mm.
But definitely very, very proud of the entire crew involved.
And part of that process has been, shining a light on a lot of talent that most people wouldn't have seen before. Do you think that's been one of the key successes of the show?
I'm sorry, I missed that last question there. What was the question?
Just the way that Dynamite has shone a light on a lot of talent that people wouldn't have seen before. Do you think that's been one of the key successes of the show?
That's definitely something that we lean into heavily. We're very much interested in bringing new talent to the forefront and allowing them to have this platform and ability to shine and create their fan bases. So I think it's been a mix of that, with people that they're familiar with, and a lot of just good synergy in a lot of moments that has allowed us to continue to bring new talent in and showcase new people.
Mm. What would you say has been the biggest challenge of the past year? Not just putting the pandemic aside for a minute. What's been the biggest challenge?
Probably the biggest challenge has been figuring out how much to balance feedback versus our own feeling.
Mm,
And I think that that's something that we've navigated pretty well, especially this early in the game, to be able to realize, what is real feedback versus noise,
yeah,
especially when it comes to social media. So I think that was, from the beginning, because a lot of the people involved in the company are very um, open-minded people, and like to have discussions and like to, open themselves up to talking to fans and interacting in that way. And I think we've just had to learn that, in some instances there has to be a shift there. It can't be quite as open as we like for it to,
mm,
because you have to know, you have to sort the difference between who you're talking to and what the feedback is versus noise.
yeah. And obviously, you've had the pandemic to deal with. How difficult has that been to navigate, especially when you've got wrestlers and fan safety to think about, and everyone has their own families and friends that they're also thinking about?
It actually hasn't been too difficult to navigate, considering we work closely with the Jags, which they're part
Mm,
of the NFL, another major, sports organization, and being able to lean on the knowledge that we have from that team, as well as our team and our medical staff that correspond back and forth. It was pretty easy to learn what we needed to do to keep everybody's best interests in mind and to keep things as safe as possible, but for us to be able to continue on. And everybody's just been very, very eager to do whatever it is that we need to do. So while it may not be the most pleasant thing in the world to test as frequently as most of us have to, it's just, it's a small price to pay to be able to know that you're safe and know that you're keeping other people safe and doing your part.
you've actually won a lot of plaudits for the way you've handled it as well, with crowd safety. Is that something that you and the management are quite proud of?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Again, it's not hard to in instances to do the right thing when you can. And when we do have the means and the resources and availability and able to do that. So why wouldn't we go ahead and do that? I'm always a very proactive person. I would rather take the extra precautions and find out that they weren't needed than go in guns blazing, have a huge upset, and then realize we should have been doing this in the beginning. So I think a lot of our team thinks the same way when it comes to that. So that makes it easy to make those decisions.
So during this time in the UK, something that's taken up a lot of wrestling media has been the speaking out movement. What have you made of that from your side of business? First of all, being involved in business and also running a company. How have you viewed that whole speaking out movement?
I mean, I think we've viewed it as a very serious movement, something that, you know, everybody, of course, is now paying attention to and wants to pay attention to and wants to know more about it. I think it was a learning curve for a lot of people. I think a lot of people wanted to think that things are nice and rosy and shiny and these problems don't happen, but they do. And I think a lot of times people don't want to think about those things, especially if they don't affect them as a singular individual. And it kind of forced people to have to get out of their comfort zone and think about these things and think about the possibilities of these things. So it's definitely been an eye-opening situation, and it's one that I hope that people, you know, continue to feel empowered when they're in situations as such, to speak up and make sure that, you know, they're voicing not only for themselves but for other people who may have to deal with the same things if no one speaks up about them.
And the British government over here has actually got involved now and just doing an inquiry into it. Is that something AEW will be looking to support?
The British government's inquiry?
Yeah.
I mean, well, you know, AEW's a U.S. based company, so you know that I don't see how that's something that we would involve ourselves in across the pond. But you know, it is interesting that they are looking into this more seriously. And you know, it's not something that I think is a bad idea for any reason. Anything that discourages people from trying to, you know, create behaviors that can be gotten away with in small settings, especially when it comes to things like independent wrestling. That these are smaller settings where a lot of times people are new to the industry and they're not sure what's okay and what's not okay. Obviously, these are things that should not be happening, but they continue to happen and have been happening for years. So, of course, you know, I'm all for anything that helps to quell that type of behavior and make it more difficult for people to treat other people that way.
Okay. So staying with British wrestling, are there any British talents that you would like to bring into AEW, and maybe some females, because there are no British females on the roster at the minute?
Yeah, unfortunately, the pandemic has been the problem when it comes to that. I mean, we've had wonderful British talent come in for us and work with us. You know, a big fan of and friend of B. Priestley and Jamie Hayter, and you know, women like that are amazing. We love them. Sadie as well did not have much time to be over here and blossom as much as we'd hoped we would see from her. But again, these are things that we can't control. Unfortunately, that's what we're all dealing with and we're all in right now. I do hope that there's a period of time where we'll see women like that again. But right now, you know, our women are doing phenomenally. We've been able to, as a little bit of a blessing in disguise in all of this, find some women that were local to Florida and Georgia that we didn't know very much about, but now they're regular fixtures on the show. The one that I wish we hadn't found is Anna Jay, but that's okay. She's here. Seems like she's going to stay. So.
Well, we'll come on to Anna Jay in a minute. But just last question on Dynamite. What can we expect from year 2 of Dynamite, and how do you see the long-term future of the show panning out?
I think that people can expect to see more stars start to blossom and bloom. We're starting to see, you know, a lot more from people like Will Hobbs, even Anna Jay. A lot of members of the Dark Order are coming into their own, and I think that this will be a great year for them to continue to blossom and show the world who they are as competitors and people. So we're looking forward to that. Also looking forward to, you know, expanding our footprint a little bit more. We've got obviously another hour that is promised to us from TNT, which is great. We're still seeing what that looks like and where that lands. But of course, we're very eager for it because we have a lot of talent that's just bursting at the seams to be on the scene a little bit more. So that's going to be a wonderful addition for us when the time comes. As well as, we've got things coming like Cody just wrapped the project of the Go Big Show, which is completely out of the wrestling element. But again, another mainstream show that will hopefully help tune more and more eyes over to the AEW brand. And we hope to continue in that motion with talent expanding the footprint in that way.
And just on your own career, I guess people have seen more of you in the past couple of years than they had seen when you were in previous companies. How does it feel to have kind of changed that perception of you and actually made yourself a mainstay on a wrestling show?
It's been something that, I got into the wrestling industry to be in wrestling, to actually wrestle, to manage, to be a part of, the on-air team in that way. So it's something that I'd been looking forward to for a very long time and had known that I was capable of. Just the right timing and company and setting is what it took for everything to fall together. So it's been really great. I've been enjoying my work with Dynamite and Dark as well, and just continuing to enjoy the ride and take it wherever it needs to go.
Fair enough. Okay, so I want to end on a quick fire round. So I'm going to reel off some names and you just say the first thing that comes into your head. Okay?
All right.
Okay, so first name is Tony Khan.
Genius.
Chris Jericho.
Insane in a good way.
I was going to say good or bad. Okay. Orange Cassidy.
Orange chicken. We made orange chicken on Shot of Brandi.
Okay. Young Bucks.
Money.
Big Swole.
Attitude.
Britt Baker.
Fake medical degree.
Last three. So Anna Jay.
Over her head.
I was going to say keep it PG, but okay. MJF.
Spoiled brat.
And of course, Cody.
Innovative.
Fair enough. Just sort of off the top of my head, when you go home at night and there's you and Cody, how do you get a chance to sort of sit back and look at what you've done, and how do you feel about it? Just the two of you in that kind of setting, and do you talk about it? How do you feel about it?
Most of the time when we're talking about our work in AEW, we're talking about what else can we do. So we don't have a lot of reflective time. A lot of our reflective time and reflective moments are in really big moments where it's something really great is happening. A lot of times that's in just like we'll hold each other's hands and we'll squeeze back and forth, and that's kind of our like energy saying like, hey, look how far we've come, or look how amazing this is. But rarely do we have the conversations where we sit back and we say, hey, look at all of this. More often it's like, where are we going? How do we get there? What's the next step? What needs to happen? So we powwow much more than we reflect.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. Much appreciated.